I'm curious, are you on track for where you thought you would be at the halfway mark?
I come from the private sector, so I'm never on track for where I'd like to be. I'd like us to have made better success in basically every aspect of what we do. But I look at where we began, and I'm proud of our people. I'm proud of the team, the caucus team that we have. They're so focused. They're focused on the key issues, and that's really important. And I'm also proud, and I don't want you to take what I said earlier about the deputy ministers as a shot at the deputies. It isn't. Their culture is changing, and they're coming along too, and we're getting ideas now. We're getting better ideas. We actually talked just this morning about getting more ideas, so it's exciting. It's exciting, but it's not just the ideas, of course, it's the implementation of them and keeping focused on the key things, making the main thing, as Covey says, right?
Is that the biggest challenge then, I guess, in terms of making sure that the vision that you have for where you want to take this province, and embedding that in the culture of your civil servants so that they also understand that and are on the same page?
Absolutely. We've embarked on a transformation strategy within the civil service. We're going to lose a significant, like most businesses, we'll lose a significant number of people to retirement in the next number of years. And it's an opportunity to change that culture and bring in people who really are enthused about being there. We've taken major steps to end this culture of harassment and bullying that was covered up for years and was there. Major progress there, and that's important. Every parent in Manitoba needs to be confident that their child, if they want to work in Manitoba civil service, is safe and protected and respected and heard. They need to know that, and this is part of that transformation strategy. Another part, though, is the functionality aspect. Just for example, Crown lands. To sell a piece of Crown property, what would the net proceeds be to you if we were to sell a piece of Crown property? Negative. Negative. Because the processes of approval and marketing the product and making it available are so cumbersome that it actually costs more to sell government property than the property is worth. So, think there's need for reform? I'd say so, for sure.
So earlier this week, in the Free Press, Pro Research put out a poll and shows that Conservatives have bumped up 44%. And I know that, I'm guessing you don't read polls whatsoever in terms of political polls at this time. So what are some of the key metrics that you would look at to determine whether or not your government is on the right track? Like, what are success measurements that you look at?
Well, we've got lots of challenges. I think the major thing is communications, and we did reduce the size of our communications department by half, right? But then, when we were embarking on the healthcare reform, and I say this is a major black mark in our first 2 years, we had Kevin Chief resigned, right? And he's now working with Business Council, and good luck to Kevin, he's a great guy. But because of that, we had a media blackout at exactly the same time. So they coincided miserably. And so the rationale for why we're doing healthcare reform, you couldn't really get it out. You're not allowed to run an ad. You're not allowed to put out a brochure, nothing, right? So that was a problem. But on an ongoing basis, I think that's the key. The key is get the message out and keep involving Manitobans in every possible way. I believe in people. I built my business based on hearing from my clients, how can I do a better job for you? Right? How can I do a better job for you? Well, I can't tell you how I'm going to do a better job. You've got to listen to what you have to say. And this is the exercise we've engaged in. I believe in participatory democracy. I can't pronounce it, but I believe in it.
So would those metrics for you then be the discussions that you might hear when you're in Portugal Prairie and getting a coffee at Tim Hortons and someone comes up to you and says, Premier, you're on the right track on this, or, and I'm sure they've told you, you're on the wrong track on this issue.
For sure.
Is that what you typically look at in terms of getting that?
That's part
of Manitobans?
That's part of it, and part of it's ongoing, right? It's ongoing feedback mechanisms. And your organization, look at the circles of influence right here in this room right now. All of you have 1,000 people that you know that you influence with your views. And you get perspectives, and we need to hear those back. We need to know where we can do a better job. But we also need to listen to experts. We all recognize that we're not all experts. We can't all be experts in everything. And healthcare reform is a major issue where we have internationally renowned experts in Manitoba that were not listened to in the past. We said, you can make the system work better. Just have to act. We're acting. We're acting to do that. But it is important politically, obviously. You you want to get the message out as to why you're doing this. You know, why are we doing this? Why? I really appreciate the fact that workers have, we just got a report on the progress that WRHA is making on a variety of reforms, and I can tell you that a couple of things, that sick days are down and overtime's down. Like the people who work in the healthcare system want to work in a system that works for their patients, their clients. And they're embracing the challenge, and I thank them for that. Because it's not fun having to leave a place you've worked, leave friends behind who are staying there, go to another place. You've got to make new friends. It's a new work environment. It's not an easy thing. I think we should give a round of applause to our healthcare workers because they deserve that.
So there's been criticism that you're tough to meet with.
Yeah. So that criticism is unjustified.
Okay.
But I can only tell you this: that accusation was made. Arlene's my appointment secretary. I come back from the house, and she says 3,046. I said, "What's that?" It's the number of meetings you've had in the last 2 years. I meet a lot, but I also trust my ministers to meet a lot, and they do, and that's the difference. I like the Peter Drucker management philosophy, flattening management. I don't like it to come to an office. That's a myth. But when it comes, I'll deal with it, and we deal with it collaboratively. We have a team of people. I'm a coach. So I understand. I'm not going to be on the ice with every department, with every board. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Because we have a team of people, and I respect that team of people. Our ministers have responsibilities, and I work with them, obviously. They also have the primary responsibilities of meetings and therefore.
So in terms of decision-making then, there's also the criticism that all decisions come through you.
Yeah, well, the good ones. Yeah. All the good ones. The bad ones are my ministers make those. Let's just be clear on that. Yeah, let's just be absolutely clear on that. No,
is it more of a team approach in decision making around the cabinet?
Absolutely. I mean, we're just collaborative approaches I've used in my life, in my business. You learn that in business, don't you? You can't run. You can run one person. I had a one-person business. I was always right, but I wasn't always right because I didn't have the mechanisms to develop. The teamwork that comes from working in an advanced business is fun for me. That's the part. I'm a team guy, and Halls of Fame and stuff for sports, and I love that. And so you can't have a team if you're doing it all yourself. But I've been attacked in the same day for being a dictator and a control freak and never been around. So I guess you got to decide, guys. You're going to have to decide. Yeah, So balance is pretty important. We had 3 weeks in Costa Rica last year. 2 weeks with our daughters, 1 week in Esther and I. I'm going to do that. I got a 35-year marriage, and it's going to get stronger, not weaker. I made a commitment to my father when I entered public life that I'd keep my family intact, and I will do that.
I know we're running out of time, so I just wanted to get this one.
You and I can talk for a while after. Let these guys go.
I mean, he did come to, and I will give the Premier props as well. He did spend an hour of his time with our board of directors about a month ago, where you and Minister Peterson came, took questions from the board of directors. Great opportunity for us to have that dialogue with you. So I'm sure there's going to be an invitation from every association in the room now as well. Carbon tax. So we held an event about 6 weeks ago with the Conservative leader of Canada, Andrew Scheer. Says, I'm going to get rid of the carbon tax. You've got Conservative leaders in both Alberta and in Ontario, potential opposition leaders, both saying they're getting rid of the carbon tax. Our neighbors to the west of us in Saskatchewan have been fighting this from the start. We're going in a different direction.
Yeah, we are. We are. Because we're in government and they're all in opposition. So. There's an important thing here, though. We have a plan, and we work really hard, as you well know. Actually, I think over 1,000 different consultations in developing our plan. If you just say no, you get Trudeau. So if you're standing there with Tom Broadbeck, and I love Tom, but Tom keeps saying, just say no, just say no. If you just say no, you're sending $1 billion out of this province over the next 4 years. Okay, right? Federal government's plan is boil the frog, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and they're already talking about 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 items, okay? That's what they're talking about. I don't agree with this. I want it flat, I want it low, and I want it to change habits. That means it's higher at the start and stays there. Our plan works better than the federal plan. It works better. It will work better for the environment. More importantly, for the economy, it works better. Our business community told us, make it flat. Don't let it rise. If you can do that, you can stand between us and double, maybe triple. Help us. That was the advice we got. That's the advice we're acting on. We're doing green. Manitoba is green. We are the greenest province. And we are forced to be greener because we have to invest, well, let's say another $8 or $9 billion over the next 5 years in hydro projects that we shouldn't have ever embarked on. Fair enough? That's enough of an investment to prove our green credentials. But I want the money going back in lower taxes. So we're doing green, and we will do green. And we'll partner with Ottawa on green projects. But every dollar plus is going back in lower taxes. Every dollar plus. And I love them because they want to make change happen. And of course, I'm encouraging them a lot, as they will testify, to get out and walk the streets and neighborhoods of their areas and listen to the people in their area. To do that on a regular and disciplined basis. That's how you earn the right to represent people. Business should go where it's wanted, go to their door, knock, and listen. If we do that, we deserve to get reelected. If we don't do that, we don't. That's it. Simple. Earn your way. But I would rather be respected than liked. I spent too many years not being liked to worry too much about it now. I mean, I struck out a lot of guys. If I wanted to be friendly with them, I suppose I should have lobbed it in like slow pitch, right? But I didn't do that. But after the game, they knew that I was there to beat them, and we were still friends at the end of the day. Sports teaches you that. Business teaches you that. And a friend of mine, of course, he's not here, but he was at the Southport celebration of our flight training on Saturday night. We did business in the same community for 25 years, and not once had a disrespectful thing to say with each other, about each other, ever, never. I wish politics was more like that. I'd like it to be better than it is in that respect.
Premier Palliser, on behalf of the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce, I would encourage you to continue to make courageous decisions. Bold decisions.